Hey guys! To coincide with all of the travel tips that I'm giving about going to Japan, I thought it would be really helpful to talk about how to not be rude in Japan. So Japan's culture is very much into customs and manners and being polite, I guess you could say. And so here are some tips on just what maybe not to do, or just to make sure that you are mindful of when you travel to Japan. So the first tip, which I know I've mentioned in my other video, is do not blow your nose in public. It is a big no-no there. Do not do it in the restaurants. Like, don't wipe your nose. Stay away from your nose area. There, it's kind of like you're spreading germs and you are sick, is kind of how they see it. Whereas in contrast, you can clean your ears in public and that is totally fine. It's very different than in the US or some other Western countries might be used to. Number 2 is make sure you follow the rules. If you see a sign that says, don't use your cell phone, don't use your cell phone. They're very big on following the rules. One time we were on our bikes, and in America, if you want to cross in the middle of the street, as long as there are no cars coming and you're not going to create a traffic jam, it's okay to do. Or if the light doesn't give you the walk sign, but there again are no cars coming, you can also cross. But one time when we were on our bikes, there were no cars around at all, and the street did not have a walk sign, but it was a green light, and again, no cars at all. And we were about to go through it, and this very sweet old man was like, no, 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 mata, mata, mata. And basically he was saying, wait, you cannot cross because you don't have a cross sign. And we're like, there are no cars, but okay, since you're sweet and you're very nice about it, he was just letting us know that it's not safe to cross. And along with that, some other rules and regulations. When you are on the train, which, I mean, I would say 90% of people in Tokyo take, don't talk loudly. And if you're going to have a conversation, make sure that you are whispering and you're not extremely animated or disrupting the peace, basically. They are very quiet, peaceful people on the trains. They respect everybody else's privacy and probably need for sleep or something, because usually the Japanese work really hard and the train is a place where they can catch a few Z's before they get home. And also on the train, make sure that you give up your seat for old ladies or people with strollers. It's pretty common in America that you're supposed to do that too. I don't know, I would figure most Western countries you're supposed to do that, but it sometimes doesn't happen and people just look like jerks, and you should be mindful of that. Also, bowing is a big thing in Japan. It's a sign of respect, and it's something that people do. And it's not the same as like the olden days in England or something where you would curtsy and the men would do like this like elegant bow. No, it's a simple bow forward, but you want to make sure that you bow enough to where you are not being disrespectful. And so if somebody bows to you, make sure you bow back. It's just the right thing to do. Or if you're meeting someone very important, like if you're going there for a job interview or you're meeting the president for some reason, I don't know that would happen, but just make sure you bow. It's a sign of respect. It's like, yeah. The shoes, I think I mentioned this in the description box below, and pretty much every video that you ever check out about customs in Japan is taking off your shoes. Not only do you take your shoes off when you go into someone's home, but there are certain restaurants where you take your shoes off. If it has any place with a tatami mat, take your shoes off. And also when you go into onsens, sometimes temples, and if you go into a tea house, they'll tell you, but just make sure that you take your shoes off. And then if you're uncomfortable with your bare feet, maybe carry along some socks with you, just so that you can be comfortable and be prepared. Yeah. Number 5 is something that's kind of interesting here in America. If you order too much food or you don't want to eat all of your food right then and there, you can get a takeout box. Not usually in Japan. They don't offer that, and they probably will think you're a little weird, but being a foreigner, they will excuse it because you're not used to customs there, but typically you will not get a takeout box. They also have much smaller portions, so you probably won't need a takeout box. And number 6 is a big thing. You'll hear about it a lot as well if you look at other videos, is the chopsticks rule. Do not stick your chopsticks vertically into your rice or into any dish, because that is something that they do at a funeral or cremation, and it's just kind of bad luck. And if you do it, you look dumb and rude all at the same time. And also, do not pass food from chopstick to chopstick. It is rude. It's also something that they do during funerals, and so they're very custom-oriented, very ritual-oriented, and they have a lot of things that are good luck and bad luck, so just be conscious of that. If you're going out in a group setting or on a date or whatever you're going to be doing out there, but there's more than one person, especially when it pertains to sake, do not pour your own drink. If you have someone who's senior to you or more important than you are, you would pour their drink and make sure that their drink is never empty. Pointing. I was always under the impression that you do not point at all in Japan. It is very rude. However, you just don't point at people. It seems like a lot of people, even the Japanese, will gesture with a point to like, oh, I'd like that product over there. Most of the time I do see them do like this, kind of like where they gesture like this, like I would like that over there. But do not point at person. It's rude. That's kind of degrading to point at somebody. And then the last thing is there's not a lot of street food, and there's also not a lot of eating outside an establishment. It's considered rude to walk and eat in a lot of places, and you won't really see Japanese people do it. However, if you're in a place like Harajuku where there are a lot of crepe stands or walking food stands, then it's appropriate. If you see someone else who looks Japanese doing it, then it's okay. But for the most part, you will not see it, especially in fancy shopping districts. They don't want you walking and eating. And a lot of that has to do with the cleanliness of their cities. I mean, Japan is incredibly clean. And by adding food to the outside element, it's just asking for trash and for icky stuff on the ground. Whereas in America, you can pretty much eat wherever the heck you want, and we're more of an outdoor eating society. There you can have picnics and things like that, but like walking along the street or even on the train, you're not supposed to eat. I did one time just because I had an ice cream and it was going to melt, so I like hid behind my backpack and tried to eat the ice cream like that. It was less enjoyable than if I didn't have to hide it, but just keep that in mind. And so I hope these are helpful, and I hope that you look into other people's videos as well. I'll put some other links in the description box just so you can get more of an idea of what you should and should not be doing in Japan. Again, they are a culture that's very heavily centered on traditions and customs and propriety, like doing things right or wrong. And so because you're going to another country, you need to learn these things so you don't look rude. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please give me a thumbs up if you liked the video, and don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and Snow, and I will be back with more tips for you on your Japanese travel. Thanks, guys!